Hello there. Today we're going to discuss elements of design. I have here an 8x10 inexpensive canvas. It's just one I got from Michael's on sale. Always buy them on sale, otherwise they charge too much. Anyway, the first thing we're going to discuss is positioning. There's something called the rule of thirds. And what that means is you don't put your focal point smack in the middle of your work. People aren't going to really notice it there. However, if you put it to the side or up towards here, you're going to see it. They're more likely to see it, okay? Now, the way that works is you can either measure it or eyeball it. I measured it for you. Usually I'll eyeball it. And you take and you break into thirds. Break your canvas or your substrate, whatever it is you're doing your project on, into thirds. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Both vertically and horizontally. Okay. Generally, I'll eyeball it, but when you start it out, you should go ahead and put the lines. If you're on paper, if you're using paper as your substrate, just fold it into thirds vertically and horizontally. So where you want your focal point is someplace in one of these junctions, okay? Like here, or here, 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 okay? For this project, I'm going to follow the rules that I'm telling you. They're not rules so much as guidelines, and it will help with your mixed media project in that it's a better layout. This is what most artists, whether they're photographers or whatever, use. They keep it in mind as they're designing a project. So this cat is going to be one of our focal points. Okay, the other focal point I'm going to put up here. Okay, the next point in this video is picking colors. You want to pick 1 to 3 colors as your basic overall colors, and you want to pick the colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. For instance, you don't want to put red and green together because those are on opposite sides of the color wheel, or red and green, because when you mix red and green, it makes mud, a muddy color, an unpleasant muddy color. Just as when you mix yellow and violet, orange and blue. The only way you can mix these is if you let one dry. If you're using acrylics, you let one dry and then you layer over with the other. So that's possible, but if you're using watercolors, all you get is mud. It doesn't look good at all. So with acrylics, I'm not since I've never used oils, I can't speak to oils. But if you're using watercolors or colored pencils or crayons, it just turns into mud. So for this project, I've chosen 3 colors. I've chosen red, yellow, and blue. Okay? As you can see, they're 3 completely different types of paint. This is Liquitex Basics, this is Master's Touch acrylic, and this is Apple Barrel multi-surface. It does, as long as they're all acrylic, you can mix them. Okay? Now, first thing I'm going to do, this is what I'm using for a palette today. I used a worn out piece of foam board. First thing I'm going to do is put my colors on the palette. Don't need a lot for a piece this size. Okay. Just sort of set that aside. Let's see if I can get it into the picture. There we go. Alright. I'm going to use a sponge at first. The first thing I'm going to do is put my moon up here because the cat's going to be looking up at the moon. And usually, generally, I don't put pencil lines straight, but I put them there for illustration purposes. As you can see, this yellow doesn't cover it up very well, but let's see what I can do about that later on. Nice big full moon. Little bit of red on the outside. Hopefully I'll get a little bit of orange. Yes, I am. Next color I'm going to use is the blue. Now generally you don't mix blue and yellow, but I'm not going to mix them. Well, blue and yellow make green, but I don't want green. I want the blue on the outside as the night sky. So put my sponge in a different spot, and I'm going to just fill up the rest of the canvas for this. This is just the background, so we'll just fill that up. A little bit darker around the edges. Now when you pick 3 colors, keep in mind you can use white and black with these, because white and black generally are mix-ins that you can either lighten or darken your colors with. So when you pick your 3 colors, include white and black so you'll have basically 5 colors. Might need more blue on my palette. The sponge is dry, so this is kind of like dry painting, only with a sponge instead of a brush. There's the dogs saying hello. Okay, here's my basic background. I'll be right back. I need to get some water. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some stars. I like to use a toothbrush for this. Get it nice and wet. Put it in the yellow. Get it nice and gloppy, soupy. And just kind of tap it. Oh. Now the blue and the red and the yellow from the moon are all dry. It's an electric toothbrush. Let's see if what happens when I turn it on. No, just a few stars here and there. Okay. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit while I put some grass down here, because we can't have our focal point standing up in the middle of space. We need something to sit on. Should I give her grass or should I give her a table? I think grass. So for that, I'm just going to get a regular round brush, pretty big, size 8. I'm going to mix some blue and yellow, of course, to make green. More yellow. Can you see that? It doesn't take this, since the blue is so dark, it doesn't take much to get a nice green. There we go. And just a few little tufts here and there. Since the green is not a focal point, since the grass is not a focal point, I'm not worried about having bright colors here. It'll show up enough. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. You can use any size brush you want. I decided we'd have Kentucky bluegrass here. If you use a smaller brush, you'll get finer grass. Alright. Now, I'm going to let this dry before I put my cat on. And I'm going to put some words up here. And I'll show you those later as when I put the cat on. Okay, see you in a little bit. On these words, I'm just going to ink up the edges a little bit so they pop out some. I'll put those on the moon. Cat's gonna go here. And as you can see, your eye starts up here and it follows around and lands on the cat. And these are in 2 of the spots where the rule of thirds wants you to put your focal points. I will glue these down with PVA glue, which is like Elmer's, but I'm going to use Aleene's Fast Scrab Tacky Glue. And that will be the extent of the piece. Now let me see if let me look at my cheat sheet and see if I forgot anything. Let's see. Oh yeah, with the fonts, notice I picked one font and I bolded them. Let me see, bring it a little closer. I chose one font and I put it on bold. So if I was going to put some words over here, I would use the same font, or some words under here, I would use the same font. I can change them by making them bold or making them italic, but always the same font on one piece. And I think that's about it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. I would really, if you got value out of this, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you get notified when I put out a new video. Thank you very much. Be kind, be caring, be creative. Have a really good day.